We've seen this so many times. Some people seem to have some guidance star that help them clear the path towards success, while others stay in the dark for pretty much the majority of their life. And it's not so much about income because we have seen successful or more like self-actualized people in different socioeconomic groups. That makes you wonder, what is the key to success? And I honestly think that the key is authenticity. When we try to achieve some goals, what we're looking for is not to obtain a certain object, whether material or immaterial, but rather a feeling. So we feel that we will be happy once we gain some capital, once we look different, once we get a certain status in the society. But the truth is, being successful is not about gaining or getting all of these things. It is about feeling a certain way. It is about the feeling of achievement or self-fulfillment. There is this framework by Harvard Business Review that's designed to help business leaders to see how well aligned their companies are. Or in other words, it helps see how sustainable the business model is. The y-axis stands for the alignment between purpose and strategy, and the x-axis stands for execution. The most interesting category for this video is boldly going nowhere. It describes companies that are incredibly good at execution, at turning opportunities into immediate and long-term profit, but are really lacking in the purpose department. Or in other words, they do not understand what they're doing or why the company exists in the first place. And just like companies tend to fall apart when they lack a sense of direction, even if they're incredible at execution, the same way people become miserable if they chase somebody else's definition of success. And if the true face of success is self-fulfillment, then the only way to achieve it is by knowing who you are and what you want. And I'm not trying to say that you don't know who you are or what you want, but I guess I'm kind of saying that. I know, it's a very philosophical question, and I promise we're not gonna go too deep to the point where we question the idea of self or the probability of having any true desires ourselves. So, for the sake of this video, let's establish that there is a certain core that consists of our values, our inclinations, our nature basically. And we want to align our actions, our path to success with this core. Unfortunately, as we go through life, we are quite often forced to follow a common path to success. And if we're not confident in who we are or what we want, we might start questioning whether our vision of life is even possible, and we might abandon it in favor of a safer option. Not to mention that from a very young age, we are taught to suppress our emotions, to put the needs of others above our own. It all leads to a lot of confusion. That's why we have so many adults who go shopping or go on a new diet when what they want in reality is a sense of meaning in their life. We learn to deal with stress and existential discomfort with instant gratification, and we never even question the method. So when we aren't happy with life, we just keep dopamine piling up. Authenticity gives us a sense of direction. When we're true to ourselves, we are much more likely to go after things that we know will bring us fulfillment. And what is authenticity? It is basically self-awareness combined with acceptance. Do not confuse this with indulgence. We're not talking about indulging in our flaws. We're talking about accepting the fact that we have them, accepting or recognizing what influenced them, and knowing how to change them when we need to change them. Think of this ikigai model. Without being honest about one of these components, you won't be able to get to the core of the model. If you lie to yourself about what you're good at, about what your strengths are, then you will make your life unnecessarily hard. If you lie to yourself about what you love, or in other words, if you follow somebody else's path to success, then you will end up miserable because you will be following somebody else's dream and not yours. If you lie to yourself about what you think the world needs, and I'm adding here a subjective component because I think we can all agree that it's not so much about what the world needs, but what we consider the most important priority. Anyway, if you lie about that, then you will be doing meaningless work. So without authenticity, you risk either going after somebody else's definition of success or lying to yourself about your own skills and therefore missing out on an opportunity, or even doing some meaningless work for the rest of your life. Authenticity is the only way to achieve true success in your life. The media doesn't give us many options when it comes to defining success. We either have this more traditional path. You go to school, you graduate, you find a regular job, you settle down, have a family, and all of that jazz. Or you have this hyper-performing type of job, or you have this influencer/celebrity type of path, or then it pivots 180 degrees and then it excludes the money altogether, and then it's all about building the community and helping other people and just having this inner peace. And I'm not saying that any of these options are bad, but there are only 4 of them. And your definition of success might be unique and tailored to your life. You might decide that what you want is high enough income, the average income, so that it's enough for pursuing certain hobbies, for traveling, for buying gifts to your family, but then it's not too high so it doesn't come with all these additional responsibilities. Or you might decide that you want to do social work and you want to help people, but you still want to get more than the bare minimum for what you do. The key here is, again, to know who you are, what your strengths are, what you're good at, what you want to do, what you truly want to do, and not what somebody else wants you to want to do. But that's only part of it. Authenticity helps us achieve the feelings of success even prior to checking any of our goals off the list. When we know who we are and we are honest about the work that we do and we set up realistic expectations, the only natural outcome is success. So we can reduce all this anxiety and stop wondering, when is this going to happen? When am I going to be successful? Because we know that the inevitable result of our efforts, if we are honest about our efforts, is indeed success. Now the next question would be, how can we achieve authenticity, or how can we be more authentic? And it will require a two-faced answer, because it doesn't require work and at the same time it does require some work. It doesn't require work because I believe that we never really lose ourselves. So all these self-discovery journeys are, in my personal opinion, a bit pointless, because you can't find or you can't discover what you've never lost. And more often than not, what it really takes is some time that we spend alone to truly reconnect with ourselves. But this time is very unspecified, and it can be anything ranging from a couple of hours to a couple of years. At the same time, the path to authenticity does require some work, and it's all about peeling off the layers that we put on as we were growing up. So there are different forms self-discovery can take. The most common one is a therapy session. I know that it's not an option for everyone, but it's okay. There are other forms as well. Self-discovery also can take a form of reading or any learning, and it doesn't have to be learning about psychology or your mind or anything like that. It can be literally any learning that gives you insight into your own nature and the nature of the world. It can also take a form of moving your body, exercising. It can also take a form of spending time in nature. I personally find it to be the most healing, the most therapeutic, and it's my personal favorite. It can also take a form of engaging in some creative hobbies, singing, dancing, painting. So basically, your self-discovery comes through life. And of course, it will require reflection and patience from you. When it comes to reflection, there are many tools nowadays. Some people benefit from just thinking things through. Some people really love journaling. Some people, like me, like talking things out loud. And I think you can also use doodling or painting as a way of reflecting. And when it comes to patience, you just have to be prepared that it will take some time, especially if you've been meeting the society standards for a while. Of course, as you might already know, there will be no point in life when you fully know who you are and what you want. And that's okay. And also, things might change in the process. What we're trying to achieve is to get to this core where you know more or less who you are, what you want, what some of your best skills are, so that you can create a plan and move according to it. And once you can be honest about all of that, you can recognize success once you achieve it. And even more so, you might find out that you are already successful.